Hello, YouTube. This is Moan, and we're here to review another movie. This time, it's going to be a more long-form, in-depth review, specifically of your name, not mine, but his.
Yeah, yours.
I'm sure there's not been a pun done on
Pronouns.
the name of your name at all yet.
Yeah, it's definitely not. There's actually an interlanguage pun because the title in Japanese can the syllables if pushed together mean rope. So there's your rope, and then there's pictures of them tied up. And
well, the whole premise of the movie kind of revolves around rope, anyways. With the
I suppose technically, kind of.
That would be my concept of the overarching theme is rope.
Yeah,
just rope.
It makes perfect sense. It is a very detailed, in-depth look at the rope manufacturing industry and the impacts it has on modern society. You'd be surprised.
Okay, now one thing I want to do before, just quick preface before we get into this is, if you haven't seen this yet, if you have any intention of ever seeing it, which we highly recommend you do, stop now, go see it. This is an amazing movie. Don't let us spoil it. It's really worth it.
I'm at the point of saying, if you see one movie in your life, see this movie. That's where I'm at right now. Just to give you an idea. He's not, but I
don't know. I like to say, I always say that this isn't my favorite movie, but I think it's the best movie I've seen. I really can't think of a movie more masterfully executed than this one. As if we hadn't talked it up enough already.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie.
But you're weird.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. I mean, I'm sure they know that by now. With all the weird gestures I'm doing at you during the videos without you looking. Anyways, so, Your Name. Newest movie by... God, I'm not going to remember his name. I don't even know why I bothered.
Not Miyamoto.
Not the next to Miyazaki.
Not
the
Miyazaki.
one... The guy best known as the next to Miyazaki, which will tell you how good Miyazaki is.
I remember reading when we started getting hype about this, that this is the first non-Miyazaki anime movie to break, like 200,000?
Yeah, a million internationally, I believe.
Yeah, damn.
I'm
going to have to censor that.
Crap, I don't know. I don't remember what it was. It's the highest grossing anime of all time.
Yeah,
period.
It's beaten out all of Miyazaki's, which is impressive because it was all of Miyazaki's. He held the first, the second, third, then the fifth, the sixth, the eighth.
And it's...
So he's
I
really
believe it's the number 8 earning animated movie, period. I think... Didn't we look that up?
I think it's 8th. It's way up there, and that's comparing it to all of Disney's stuff and such.
Yep. It's earned it. We'll put it
really
that way.
has.
So, phase first, dive right into...
Okay, this is the part where spoilers begin. We're going to kind of do a run-through the whole movie. So, if you haven't seen it yet, you're in for it.
If you've watched any of our others, you know we go all over the map with these things. So, don't go ahead unless you're ready for spoilers.
I just couldn't believe the visuals throughout this movie. That's what... from the very start, you'll take notice of the visuals and...
Well, because the first thing you see is the meteor coming down through the sky.
And you don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
It's so masterfully done. So much foreshadowing just right off the get-go.
And with the lighting, because casting shadows in animated film is not easy. 'Cause there's a visual line where you can see where the meteor is passing through the shadow. Or through the...
Drop this phone.
I need that for notes. Yeah, and then it passes through the clouds. That's when it first starts to look animated. At one point during the clouds, when the meteor passes through it, starts to look animated. Because it looks almost realistic before that.
Yeah, it really does. What stood out to me for that beginning part is you don't know it at the beginning, but it's actually a very foreboding scene. But the way he so artfully meshes both... it's literally my last note, not my first, but I'm going to say it first because screw the rules. The comet and all the scenes with it are such a combination of beauty, terror, and destruction, so beautifully meshed together. It's a very mixed scene every time it's on scene, and you never know it. It changes the same visual as you go through the movie.
And it's called comet Tiamat, which you find out later, which is the goddess of beauty and destruction.
Oh, didn't know.
I looked that one up. It's
So
the goddess
much.
of destruction and feminine beauty, I believe, is the title.
That is a beautiful name for that meteor, because that is a fantastic way to summarize it.
Yep. The symbology works really well.
We've been recording for 5 minutes now, and we haven't gotten past literally the first scene.
Well, it's because we rambled on for quite a while. But if we keep
And
talking,
it was an amazing scene.
Yes, it was. But if we keep talking about how long we've been recording, it's going to take even longer. Anyways, next scene. Next scene has you kind of. It brings you in the
it's where he wakes up and
she
wakes.
It's them thinking about they're lost in thought. Like
yeah.
It's in a great scene.
So this is one thing I'll probably mention a lot throughout the movie, or throughout the review. The suspense and the way they hold your suspense and wonder and disbelief and curiosity.
Because what they do with the characters in the beginning, they immediately stick you in the limbo the characters are experiencing at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
you're trapped not knowing what's happening, why this meteor is special, but know it is special.
So it sets the scene with the meteor. Then there's this romance, this unrequited love that they don't know, and there's something missing, and it's clearly a romance, but that's all we got. We got the beautiful meteor, and we got this romance between two individuals. And don't they have the... No, that's it.
It's because the first line is, sometimes I wake up crying and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And you're not understanding why either. It puts you in the place of the characters very well.
And it's sad and beautiful at the same time.
Although it has more of an impact the more you watch it.
Oh,
we'll put it that way.
Yeah, definitely see this movie multiple times.
I saw it 8 times. I paid for each and every one of my friends to see it once. I liked it so much.
He doesn't have a lot of friends.
I had... Fine. Anyways. I liked it enough that I wanted to show it to as many people as possible. But I literally got something new out of it every time, including the 8th time. Like, every time there was something new I got out of it.
So, following that first scene where it kind of does this fast exposition of going through them and like narrating how they're feeling and the difficulties they're struggling with without knowing anything, it jumps into I take it back. If there was one thing I'd complain or maybe change about this movie, it would be the anime intro. That is so stereotypical anime, just like that kind of Japanese style music, punk rock. Well, not punk rock, but
I think it's because I think they're trapped kind of behind us. Because I mean, in the U.S. it was required to have credits in the beginning before, and I don't know if
that's still the case
in Japan or anything.
I think that's how they do it. It's just the way it's done, and they always do it this way. But
I like the music enough; it didn't bother me at all.
I agree, but it's very jarring.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the first time I watched it, I was a little surprised by the rock
and
music.
It kind of laughing. So it's not the only scene where this music plays in this kind of style. But here, it's really out of place.
Yeah, especially compared to the quiet, somber opening. It did throw off, I suppose.
It was very jarring, and it felt out of place. So there's my complaint. I'm done complaining about the movie for this review.
I have one big minor complaint.
One big minor complaint.
Well, we'll talk about it later. There's one point of thing that I wish was in the movie that isn't really covered in the movie, but we'll get to that.
Oh, I know what it is. That's a fair complaint.
I think enough foreshadowing. Anyways,
there isn't enough of that in the movie to begin with. But so then it jumps into.
Let's start with the first moment of silence right after it cuts to silence immediately after the rock intro.
So once again, back to the tone that had been set, but completely left. Now back to the regular tone. And meanwhile, back at the plot.
And it's the phone vibrating and girl sleeping on. I don't even know what that was because it's like a slab of foam on the floor.
No, that's a normal Japanese bed. They do everything closer to the ground there.
Well, because the dude in Tokyo, his bed was
more normal.
Bed was normal.
I don't know if it was normal. It still seemed really low, but
it was high enough for them to fall out every time they woke up.
I think that's. So, speaking as a complete lack of a Japanese cultural expert, as I understand it, they have low-to-the-ground tables that are more traditional, and it looked, based on my short view of the movie, more of the city stuff is more westernized with chairs and normal beds, but more traditionally, you'd sit at the table with the whole folded legs underneath, and you'd sleep on a bed mat.
Sounds uncomfortable.
It is. I used to take Japanese swordsmanship for a short while, and we always had to sit at attention for our master with the legs tucked underneath. And, like, I literally had to, like, get up because my foot's cramping out on me in the middle of, like, him lecturing, and it felt embarrassing.
I'm more of an expert on the Japanese because I've watched a lot of anime.
You've not watched as much anime as me.
Probably not.
He's just now getting... Essentially, Your Name,
really.
like, really got him into it.
Yes, I'm diving face first in now, but it's not like I was completely ignorant of it before.
Face first, you're, like drowning in it.
I don't want.
You're gonna surpass me quickly.
How many series have I gone through in the past month? 4 or 5. I don't know.
Madoka Magica.
Madoka.
A couple movies.
Kokoro Connect. Toradora.
You've been reading manga now too.
That I haven't been doing so much because I just got so pissed off at Yamada-kun.
Thank you, Your Name. You got him into to be a what is that term called?
Otaku.
No, weeaboo.
Okay,
yeah, you made him a weeaboo, and I appreciate that. So, after he... now the scene. The phone rings, and he wakes up, and it's her...
She
wakes up in her low-to-the-ground bed, and it's this confusion, because it's... You don't know what's going on, but you'll learn quickly that it's someone else's brain in her body.
It's another great way to stick you in the scene, because this is the person in the body has never been in this room before, so you look around, you see the whole room, and then you experience the body you've never been in before.
And for how pervy it is, like him grabbing the chest of her it's so... It adds a level of realism.
Yes,
it really does.
It would make zero sense for them to completely ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who's thought about the concept of body swapping, we all know how it would go. I mean, it's whole new anatomical features you've never had before.
And that's definitely the first thing you're going to notice.
Yeah.
Unless you're standing and there's a center of gravity issue. But...
That would still be the first thing you'd notice.
Because
that would be the center of gravity issue.
Well, no, because women are typically center of gravity around the hips, while men are center of gravity around the shoulders.
Well, that depends if you're not built like a tank like me.
Well,
not built like a tank, as in I'm not built like a tank, and I'm very bottom heavy. Like a woman,
okay,
apparently.
So too much generalization about body type then.
I thought you were getting at the boobs would make him top heavy, something he's never been used to, and he'd tip forward.
No,
I mean I know girls with very large chests.
Front heavy.
Front heavy, yes. I know, because I know girls with very large chests actually have back problems from all the extra.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they have to pull back as opposed to...
Exactly. Well, okay, so he wakes up, and now this part is kind of just a normal body swap kind of thing, but it's done.
I'd say it's done correctly, whatever that means.
Yeah.
It's believable.
But it never... Oh, that's right.
Because he thinks he's in a dream is what's going on, so he treats it like a dream.
But this is one thing I think they do really well. It builds in the body swap so beautifully, so it introduces the body swap. It leaves you completely ambiguous. It doesn't tell you it's a body swap, just leaves you in that state of confusion.
And then cuts
to her waking up.
Well,
no, it actually cuts to her going to breakfast.
The next day.
But it doesn't tell you that.
It doesn't.
That's what's so confusing. And so, once again, that suspense, that confusion, just keeping you not fully sure you know what's going on. I mean, okay, yeah, I think this is going to be a body swap, but now you're suddenly back in normal her, and then you hear the story.
About how she was weird yesterday and possessed. And...
Oh, the characters are all so good. So, for such a... Well, okay, I'll say all the characters on her side are really fleshed out and really deep and well-developed.
And that would be my...
Plausible.
That's my big little complaint about the movie. Oh,
that's not the one I thought you were going to say.
Oh, really? I think they didn't develop Taki enough in his life. That would be my complaint, is they don't develop enough of the male character's side.
Yeah, we really don't learn much about Taki in comparison to I always forget her name.
Mitsuha.
Which is really embarrassing because it's literally a movie about your name.
Well, to be fair, they don't remember each other's names at the end either.
Yeah. It's a long name and it's not one I've heard.
Mitsuha. 3 syllables.
Mitsuha. It's a lot of vowels. Okay, so it goes through her whole first day, and you get to meet all the kind of characters of her town. It introduces her dad, which I thought was well done, where he's a strong businessman and then mean to her. And she clearly does not have a good relationship with her father.
And you don't understand why at first.
Yeah, and it's not over-explained. It's just kind of, okay, yeah, there's something there.
And it doesn't, I mean, everyone struggles dealing with their parents, and it doesn't feel like an out-of-place struggle or anything, and it really isn't. It's the average struggle every child has with a parent, I would say.
And it's well portrayed without beating you over the head with a bat with it.
And
there's a lot of subtlety in this movie, and the characters and how they explain through natural interaction and dialogue.
Yeah, you're learning about you're going through a day in the life of Mitsuha with her friends and all that, but they're all reflecting on how weird she was yesterday, and she doesn't remember any of it.
There's a lot of complaining through this whole bit about how much this little town sucks. There's a lot of discontent with the at least the 2 girls, not the boy.
Teshi. He's essentially resigned himself to small town life, and they hate how all the stores are closed. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do.
Oh, here's a quick one of those differences between the sub and dub, because they go past the 2 bars.
Yeah, they definitely call them bars in the sub, but in the dub they're called lounges, I think
lounges or something, which was kind of odd. That one was, I think, a lost in translation.
I think it was I don't know if references to alcohol make...
Well, there's, a whole lot of sake.
It's fair. I mean, that's true. And they do go... they go face first in the sake, don't they?
I mean, I love one of the lines in this first part. I wrote it down because I like it so much. Because it's this small town, they get... Keshi, the friend... It says, let's go to the cafe, and the girls get so excited, and then it cuts to them just getting a can out of a vending machine and drinking on the side of the road at a little bench.
She doesn't even come with.
Yeah, she ditches when she figures out what he's doing, and he just goes, like this town has a cafe. It's just so funny.
And that's not in the sub. It's a different line in the sub, and it's not as good. See, that would be... I watched both the sub and the dub. And I probably prefer the dub, to be fair, because a lot of the jokes land better in the dub, and some of the understanding. We'll get to some of the understanding of what's going on.
Well, one of them kind of isn't as clear. The one we'll come up to next, because then they go to the cultural.
Oh, the ritual. Oh, which I think is some of the best art in the movie. With the dancing and the dresses and the way they animate the flowing fabric.
Mm-hmm. And the flowing liquid.
Yeah, and it's amazing because, I mean, the more you watch it, the more you realize that the dance is representative of the meteor passing over, with them dragging the bells representing the meteor, and the streamer represents the flame.
I didn't even get that symbolism. That's what I see what you're saying. You get more every time you watch it.
Every single time.
And I've watched it 3 times already, and all because of him.
But it's they don't know the history of the shrine. They have the scene describing the history of where they are and what they're doing, and they're describing as they're twining the threads.
Yeah, I think we may have skipped a little bit because I'm not sure. I lose a little bit of the order in the body swapping, understandably so. I think this is still right, because I can't remember if they switch over to Keshi by this point.
No, or Taki. No, they don't switch to Taki until she yells and curses.
Yeah.
So it goes.
So she does the
school.
dance.
No, it goes school to rope twining.
Oh, okay.
Where they're sitting there talking about Miyagoro's great fire or whatever.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
But it's a good way to explain keep us in the dark while explaining the
it kind of explains some of the backstory that this isn't the first time this sort of a story has happened, and you don't know that until later. It's a good foreshadowing and a reason to watch it again.
It's a great job of universe building without spending too much time going into explicit detail.
Exactly. This movie does so well. that subtle storytelling and world building. I can't remember if it's at this part that they talk about the dad.
No, that's
much
way later.
Okay. But so after they do the rope twining.
They're twining the rope. They're explaining that the shrine records were all burned up in a fire years and years ago, which is why they have no record of what's going on.
Then they have the Keshi scene, where Keshi has the little spat with his dad, and it's Mitsuha's father boozing it up with Keshi's father, the contractor for
with a T.
Teshi. I'm bad with names. I'm sorry.
It's
Teshi.
Understandable. I mean, I've seen it 8 times, so
I'm just bad with names. I mean, he'll vouch. I'm just
That's
bad
true.
with names.
You do the name cycling, but yeah, it cuts to the scene of the corruption where Mitsuha's father is bribing the local workforce to vote for him, essentially.
They get a little drunk, lots of sake. Teshi clearly doesn't approve, but behaves.
He has no choice. I mean,
And the transitions are so good, because they get to him's frustration, then he looks out the window and sees the ritual happening.
I guess we're both sick of living here.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even catch that. I was thinking that was kind of like him reaching out to the girl he likes, saying, he just wants to get out of the house, but it's more of that reaching towards Mitsuha, who's doing a ritual, and he kind of can commiserate with her how he wants to get out of this corrupt little town, too.
Yeah. Just
talking about it, I'm getting more out of it.
There's more to come too. I've got a lot that we haven't talked about yet.
So now we're back at
cuts to the ritual.
Yep, which we just talked about, and they have this
the kuchi kamisake.
Yeah, which is sake they make by chewing up the rice and then spitting it out and then letting it ferment.
Yep, and then becomes
natural
alcohol.
Sake. And she gets a little embarrassed because her friends show up from school, which is once again such a natural high school interaction. It's so well done.
Let's go up the hill and make fun of the locals, kind of thing. And one of the ways of humor that I like that they do with the movie is where they flash to what Mitsuha's thinking in her head, and they pan back down to her reaction to it.
Yeah. So after this, they finish up with that, and her and her little sister are walking down the hill. And this is one of those, the sub and dub are a little different because they talk about the Kuchi Kamasaki.
And it sounds way more pervy in the sub, the way they described it.
The daughter, or the little sister, suggests that she move to Tokyo and sell the Kamasaki. And in the movie, or in the dubbed, it's kind of funny and kind of gross. But in the...
It's played more like a fetish thing in the sub. I'm sorry,
He's got his phone in his pocket and just rubbing it up and down against my leg.
I'll put it there. It's... Because I don't have any more notes for a while.
But so...
Oh, yeah. There we go.
That little exchange between her and her sister is so natural, and her sister... You don't think she gets the pervy aspect of it, but then Mitsuha's like, oh, no, there's liquor laws. And the little sister, that's what you're not okay with?
And
then she does her little scream at the world that life is unfair and I want to be reincarnated as a boy in Tokyo. And the little sister, what a jackass. And I'm not going to censor that one because it's a quote from the movie. I'll probably censor that from
And that's different in the sub too. It's
really?
What a fool in the sub, which is not
nearly as funny.
No.
Oh, it's so funny.
I
probably will censor that. So that's 2 censors.
Who knows?
Chop that down.
It's just... the characters are all portrayed incredibly realistically. And the dialogue, it flows naturally. Because I can definitely imagine... What a jackass. I mean, the kids talk like that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more swearing amongst the younger generation than...
Especially when the parents aren't around.
Yep.
When the parents aren't around, the swear words just come out.
Yeah, the people started swearing by 6th grade, at least. And my memory's not great, so it could have been even before that.
His memory's awful. Much like my names are awful.
What's your name?
Huh? So, after this scene, they finally... This is where we wake up...
As Taki.
Do they have a Taki scene where she wakes up as him first? Or no, that starts with...
Him?
It's just like before. He wakes up, but it's this whole new experience. Where am I?
It's... Yeah, Mitsuha wakes up in Taki's body.
Well, we don't know that, but...
Yeah.
Taki wakes up, and it's weird, and we don't know what. And then she goes through school, meets his friends, shows up late.
Way down.
I don't know. Is there a lot of quotes here or things? Because
Because
this is the part that's not that fleshed out that
That's
much.
fair, yeah. So, you now know who Mitsuha is, and you know her life. So now it takes you what it would be like for her to being out of place in a different life. And it's all her dreams it's her shouting come true. She says, I wish I was reincarnated as a hot Tokyo boy in my next life. And next morning she wakes up as hot Tokyo boy and runs around Tokyo,
Goes to
enjoying the
school,
sights.
has to go to work. Well, goes to a cafe first and loves it.
Yep, and
Oh, this is a little foreshadowing.
yeah, there's little hints of this foreshadowing throughout because you've got the
She buys the waffle. Well,
yeah,
she's going to buy waffles.
paying for the money it costs for the food it's thrown around like oh man, I could live a week on this on how much this food costs, and like, yeah, what time are you from?
Oh no, she says something like, I could eat on like this for a week, and the sub. Okay, the dub. The friend goes, maybe 2 years ago, which is kind of a reference going forward to this whole time lapse, which we haven't talked about yet. But hey, you've seen the movie already.
You better. Yeah, in the sub, it's maybe in another time or something.
Okay, that's
like
not
that.
a bad.
It's a lot less specific. On the timing.
It would have been better if they listed the specific number of years, because it was not quite right. It was like 2 years, and the time lapse is 3. So
I can tell you the exact timeline because I've seen it 8 times. But it's 2013 is Mitsuha's story.
He's got the exact years.
2016 is Taki's story, and then 2021 is the after story.
Okay, so it's 3 years.
Yes.
Like I said. So you didn't really correct me at all.
No.
Okay, good to know.
Anyways, so we're going through Taki's life. He runs to work, and then you meet the Okudera character.
Yes.
The boss.
So when she's at school in his body, she meets his 2 friends, but you don't see that much of them, so you're not.
No, but that
much.
covers another difference. But something that works in the sub's favor as opposed to the dub is when.
Oh, the guys are talking on the roof.
Its use of the formal and informal pronouns makes a lot more sense in the sub as opposed to the dub, because
in the dub, I'll just give him. So I saw the dub. I haven't seen the sub. In the dub, it gives this impression of like she's saying she was out with a boy, and they're like, "What?" Or out with a girl?
A gal.
What? Out with a boy? Oh, with a boy. Yeah, just boys having fun. And it was like she was trying to cover up having gone on a date. Is the impression I got.
And in the sub, it's the Japanese have different formal pronouns referring to yourself as male or female. So she says, I male version again, and then I female version again, and then correct I male version, and that's when the friends go, okay, we're on the same page.
It's a completely different impression in the sub, because it's like she, like, oh, you went on a date? Then it's he, wait, what? Us boys. It was a very different impression.
Yeah, it makes, that's one scene that I would say makes more sense in the sub. And there are definitely some that made more sense when I saw the dub, what was going on. And we'll get to that. But it goes through, we meet Okudera, which is the crush of the male character, and she, using her feminine powers, she's able to get Taki closer to her.
So this was one thing. So she works really hard at his job, and there's one part where I got kind of confused. There's this disgruntled table. They fake having a toothpick in their pizza, and she's like, we don't have toothpicks. They make a scene, and Okudera comes and saves her. But they take out a box cutter and slice her skirt, and That's just not a. That's not a thing in America.
I mean,
what is that?
I mean,
is
it's
skirt cutting a problem in Japan or?
You never know. I mean, people do all kinds of crazy stuff.
I mean, that's just the thing that I've never even heard of before. It seemed really out of place. I'm thinking that's a cultural thing.
It's a person causing destruction and being rude as possible. He wants to. I mean, she's being nice and polite, everything, and he still wanted to get something out of it. So he.
I don't know. I don't want to. Because I don't know. I kind of wanted to say it was like some sort of sexual thing, but I'm not sure. It may be like a pervert thing in Japan to like cut people's clothes. I just don't know. It was one thing that's odd to me, and I should research that after this. We'll get back to you on that.
It'll be interesting to show up on the Google searches. Cutting women's dresses.
What does cutting a girl's skirt mean? That'll put me on a list.
I can't wait to see your tailored ads in the future.
Razor blades and skirts. Google's confused, but get what you want.
You get exactly what you're looking for.
But then Mitsuha in Taki's body sews up the skirt with like a nice little like grass scenery and a little hedgehog, and it's adorable.
Nonsensical and completely unprofessional for a work garment. But
and completely out of line, or like out of the norm for a guy to just sew onto another person's skirt. It very out of place. And she really likes it. And so, like he said, with her feminine wiles, she kind of got him on
the right track with the
Okudera.
Okudera, yes. And then so it goes back to her flipping through his phone, trying to figure out who exactly he is, and she falls asleep, and
he wakes up.
And this is the first in-depth look we get at Taki.
Yeah, this is the first
because it goes
time.
through his normal day, and so he sees writing on his hand, not knowing what's going on, and she wrote her name on his hand, so to create some form of communication. And he's going through.
I thought she wrote.
It was.
I think you're right. I think it is.
Because it was in the notebook. On the first day, you see "Who are you?" and then she remembers that.
Mitsuha.
And so then
he
goes through Taki's day,
which is kind of uneventful. Like we said, they don't flesh him out as well, so you get to see his friends again.
It's a lot of the same stuff that Mitsuha went through, but with his perspective. What do you mean I did this yesterday?
I did love the scene in the at work. He gets there and all the other bus boys are like, "What's up with you and Okudera?" And he's like, "What?"
I don't know.
And she comes in, "Hey boys," like all dressed sexy and like winks and goes, "Taki."
And he goes completely red.
And they're all like, It was so well done. It's top notch.
And then
it's totally something I could see happening too.
And then and then this is where they start to figure out that they're swapping bodies, and they do a really good job of showing you what's going on by doing the phone cameras, or the calendar flip.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good way to.
Well, and just that whole montage, this is where they bring back that music from the intro, and now it makes total sense, because the pacing has gone from this mysterious sadness and kind of ramped up to this fun body swap scenario.
Yep,
then we jump into that rock music, and it fits. It fits perfectly. It's great.
This would be where this would be the part of the story that would be the anime TV show covering what they do in each other's bodies. Yeah. Lighthearted and fun, not really any negative consequences or anything going on.
And for being it done entirely in montage form, essentially, it's done really well. You get a real feel for their kind of growing to know each other and frustration.
Their obvious differences in personality.
Well, you work too much because you spend all my money. Quit going out to eat. Don't spread your legs. This is a normal lesson or beginners for girls.
Basics for girls. And then it was
like
everyone
kicks a desk over at
kicking
school.
The desk over. Everyone has a crush on him. The girls are confessing their love to Mitsuha because
he's so awesome.
It's
well done. Honestly, that part isn't as clear in the dubbed that Taki in Mitsuha's body is getting affection. I had to watch it 2 or 3 times to really understand that.
Okay.
That he was being romanced in her body, and she was very confused getting love letters from girls at school. Like, what are you doing? And she keeps pushing forward with his relationship with Okudera. I think it doesn't stop the montage.
It doesn't stop until the date.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it keeps going because she's been going on minor dates after work, coffee with, and yeah.
She sets up a date for him and Okudera, a big one. And now, at first, this seems like a really nice thing. She sets up a nice date for him, and that's all we get. And it seems like a really nice thing she did for him. Well, and
this is where the tone swaps because the music stops, and it's Taki waking up, and then there are tears pouring on the side of his face, and he's not sure why, and
we don't understand either.
I do.
Well, we do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The audience doesn't understand.
You don't get this emotional scene until you've watched it a few times, and you understand that she is the one that wants to go on this date, and she's sad.
No, she's sad that Taki's going on a date with someone else because she likes Taki.
She planned the date she would want to go on with Taki.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And she's sad that she's not getting to do that.
Yep, she's by going on this date, she thinks she's
foreshadowing.
She's giving him away to Okudera, and she's not happy. She cries herself to sleep, and the tears are still there. And so it narrates what's going on with Mitsuha. I wanted to go on this date, but since I'm not
visually, no description, no explanation.
Well, it's got voiceover.
Not at that part. It doesn't make that clear.
I wanted to go on this date, but if not, here's some tips to...
Yeah, but that's not... It's all foreshadowing. It doesn't make that clear. It's all hidden depth plot that's there but not being... Like that universe building, or... Yeah?
Yeah.
World building.
Through...
Just through the storytelling without slapping you over the face with it.
It's really clever.
One of the parts, I don't know if it's here, I think, and that's not here yet. I like the way that they go through the art museum. They keep hinting at that he's an artist without ever saying it. Like, he goes to the art museum and he sees the beautiful pictures and he gravitates to them.
We missed a part.
Did we?
What? Yes, we did. We missed a big part. We'll finish the date first, but we did miss a big part.
You were mentioning it here. The transition and the pacing in this is just amazing. It starts sad, mysterious, and it kind of goes away from that and comes to this nice fun, has a good run-up, and then you nicely taper into the more serious part. We skipped the shine. That's what we missed.
We have to get back to that, because that's the first big tone shift.
Which is before the date with the coworker.
Yes.
So let's just jump back to that.
No, let's finish it. We're almost done with the date anyway, because they're at the museum, and the pictures on the wall they're not the shrine. They're not
Mitsuha's hometown.
Itomori. It's not Itomori. The hometown.
Too many times.
It's actually Hida, Japan. It's an actual place in Japan that Itomori was based off of. But all the pictures are looking very similar to Mitsuha's hometown. And then she comes up to him and says, "You're like a completely different person today."
And that kind of spells the end of their date. Like, they go out to the last thing, and this is where he tries to call her and call Mitsuha after the date ends and can't get a hold of her.
The date didn't go well, so he's trying to figure out what exactly she's talking about in their notes they've been leaving each other, so he tries to call her. But, rewind.
Back to the, before the date, what they were supposed to do is you have this scene where Taki wakes up in Mitsuha's body, but it's not a school day. This is different.
No, it's trying to show him growing as a character because he's looking down thinking, I probably shouldn't grope because it would be rude. And then cut scene and he's doing it anyway.
No self-control. Realistic. I like
very
it.
Realistic.
And so funny. That was something that we don't make clear. This show is really funny. There's lots of laughs. Really good laughs.
It covers the whole emotional spectrum.
Yeah, it really does. But this is the part where it really takes that tone back from the fun, jovial. They have this march up the hill with Grandma and the daughter
and
to go...
talking about Musubi, the shrine god, and all the how everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is building a connection, sharing a drink. And it's interesting because they talk about...
this is
time. The thread is time, and time is it connects, breaks, intertwines.
Which is where it gets to that whole, like we said, the plot is actually just about rope and the whole interconnection of twine.
This is where we start to research the rope industry. It starts with a very in-depth history of the 1950s when rope was first discovered, buried under some rock. Anyways, what I was saying is when the grandmother is describing how the threads weave and intertwine, it's actually a summary of their relationship.
Yep.
In chronological order, because you've got unraveling and the breaking
and the whole the timeline aspect and how it's all tied together. And it's just really good analogy, all wrapped up in a history of their religion.
They're telling you what's happening in the movie too, without telling you what's happening. It's
once again not beating you over the head with the plot. Really well done.
And
it gets kind of sad. Like she helps carry Grandma, and it's a much more mature, serious, down to earth part of the movie. And they put the Kuchikamasaki in the shrine.
Well, let's slow down because there's crossing into the underworld, or the netherworld. It's called the netherworld in the dub. In the sub, it's called underworld, which gives a much more ominous and foreboding sense. And it's not really supposed to be.
No,
it's just supposed to be an in between.
Yeah, netherworld's a much better word for it.
And this is where they play the old switcheroo on you, because they tell you have to leave half yourself behind. That's the Saki you're leaving behind is half of you here, and that's not the half she's leaving behind. Well, it's Taki there at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so they're saying you have to leave half of yourself behind to return from the netherworld. And then they leave the Saki, and then they start to go.
I just got it.
Like I said, man, more every time.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that otherwise. But so, after he puts down the Kuchikamasaki, he goes back to Grandma, and I think it's at this point...
They're running down the hill, and then he looks over, and then, here was one that probably should have covered earlier, the magic hour.
Oh, yeah.
That's not covered well in the sub. That's done poorly in the sub. And
really?
They call it Twilight, and then they've got a Japanese... Katawari Doki is the Japanese word for Twilight. And it's not made clear that it's a magical, it's special time.
Okay, that's made very clear in the dub.
Yes, it's not in the sub. It's just kind of, it's Twilight.
And that's that whole point when the sun breaks the edge of the horizon. That's the magic hour where the worlds connect.
Yep. And, that's made very clear in the dub and not very clear in the sub.
I like the part, though, when Grandma goes, "You're dreaming, aren't you?"
Yep.
And blah, he wakes up, and that's when they have the date. It's a good transition, kind of.
And it is very descriptive of a real date. Somebody tells you a real dream. Someone tells you you're dreaming, the dream's over.
Which is cool, because he knew he was dreaming, but it's an interesting way to take it.
And then the date scene, and then Taki's calling Mitsuha, and it cuts to Mitsuha with her phone ringing, but she picks it up. It's Teshi.
Oh, Teshi, yeah.
And it's the day of the festival that
and she has her hair cut, and it's sad.
It's not explained why.
Yeah, and she's sad.
She's not really sad. She's
out of it. She's a little off. She's sad.
But she's still smiling. Well, they definitely try to make it look like she's... they make it look more like she's upset that she didn't go on a date.
Yeah.
Because
that's definitely the impression it gives.
And you find out she didn't go to school that day. She stayed home and did whatever.
We find out, so... But... this is the part where...
It's a brief scene in the last contact we have with Mitsuha for
quite a
large
while.
Part of the film. And...
Because this is where you get to see the comet come overhead. They're at the festival.
And it's a lot of focus on the secondary characters, because they're like, why'd she cut her hair? Why she looks pretty, but
really weird.
I wonder if she broke up with a boyfriend. Guys always want to assume it's about them.
Yeah, so a great high school banter.
And
I love the way they focus for that end of that on the meteor coming over,
and
the comet
going right into her eye, and then the chime rings. The
ding. And then it goes to Taki.
Well, and that's the chime ringing is a signifier of her death. And,
well, we don't know that yet.
Well, they do. They've seen the movie.
You better.
And so then it cuts to
Taki.
Back to Taki, who's still trying to call her on the phone. The calls didn't go through. Oh, well, I guess I'll talk to her or I'll mention it next time we switch. And then they stop. They
never switch again.
And it's several weeks go by. Not a whole lot of time, but several weeks.
Enough for him to get concerned. And so he decides... This is the part where he starts drawing. And I like that it shows that he's an artist, not tells us. It just shows him doodling out these beautiful hand-drawn sketches of Itamori. And it's...
Yeah, because it's showing that he's absolutely fixated on this town and the girl and wondering what's going on. None of his calls are going through, so he says, you know what? I need to find what happened. I need to know if this is real, if I made this up, or what's going on. And so,
but he doesn't know where it is, or
he has nothing to go by, no name, just the
other
scenery.
than his artistic drawings of the place.
And I think that's a good example of how it really was more dreamlike for them than just walking the world in someone else's body, because you're missing key information.
Yeah.
And they hadn't thought to call each other before that. It's all a very dreamlike state. It's not like walking around in someone else's body.
Yeah. But then this is the part where he goes to go try and find it.
With Okudera and...
Well, unintentionally with Okudera and...
Yep, they show up at
I can't even remember his buddy's name.
Tsukasa.
Because
Tsukasa.
They both decide to come with him because it's clearly bothering him. And
They're
Okudera
worried.
really now has feelings for him, even if it's not romantic, because he's clearly interested in someone else. So they go out on this adventure together to try and find it, and they struggle. They can't find it until...
And it's very much focusing on Taki's struggle, and they're clearly just along for the ride.
And once again, the tone in this, there's some jovial moments, some fun laughs, but it's very clearly kind of morose and a little foreboding and suspenseful. We're not sure what's going on here.
And it's all the lightheartedness is all told from a distance too, because you're with Taki, you're in Taki's mood, but there's still lighthearted happiness going on around.
Like the frog guy.
The animatronic thing or whatever, and then them playing cards and all, while Taki is face first into trying to get to the bottom of where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, it does such a great job of giving you that emotion of Taki that he's experiencing, the worry, while still allowing the fun to happen. But then he finds it.
Well, you're giving up after all this work. Look at all the work we've put on this. You guys haven't done anything. That's totally something.
It was this scene that I don't know why I just looked at the camera like that matters. But this is where I learned there's a little what's it called? I think it's pho style restaurant where I work, and you get these little weird spoons that are more like dishes. It's like if you just took I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not a normal spoon. It's very small, and this show showed me how I was supposed to use it. You're supposed to pick up the noodles with the chopsticks and use the spoon to hold the liquid underneath and keep so you don't drip, and then you eat and take the spoon. It's a combined tool effort. And this movie taught me how I'm supposed to eat with these utensils. It was quite cool. It was a learning experience for me.
It's a lot of work.
I took so much note of how Okudera ate at that little ramen restaurant. Because at one part she does it that way. Then later she's holding her hair back. And I don't know why I fixated so much on her eating.
It's interesting because I wasn't paying attention at all to how they were eating.
Oh, I learned.
Oh, we missed mentioning briefly the ribbon. They first show the ribbon as a time hint connecting both of them at the end of the date when you see it on his wrist,
and you recognize that it's her hair.
You recognize that it's a ribbon, maybe not that it's hers.
Well, it's like that ribbon that she's been making, and it's clearly those ribbons that they make.
Yes. And that was a note I made that we passed over, and then Just all the time. Yeah, I like the time sequencing was excellent. But yeah, the sliding doors. Just a note on the animation: how every scene cut every few scene cuts, it's a door sliding open or closed, and that's really cool animation. Because if you think about it, how hard would it be to draw a door with a decreasing angle away from you? Think how hard that would be to draw for.
Yeah. But so, they're at the ramen place, and they finally meet someone who knows the place.
Yep.
But...
And that brings back some memories. And it's clear that he's not there anymore, but it's not clear why. And everyone immediately...
Do they tell why there, or do they take him?
It's the cut. Isn't that where? And then cut to the...
They drive out there, and he's running up, and he gets to the school we know from is Mitsuha, and there's no town.
There's
it's just
a giant
crater, and the sadness. It's like the town's just gone.
Oh,
and it whoa. Then once again the suspense hits. Okay, so did she survive? Did she not? Was she there? And when did that happen? Did it happen that night? Was this what happened when he was on his date?
And they mentioned in the restaurant, isn't that where 3 years ago?
And then that's where they finally introduce what actually happened. That happened 3 years ago. The town of Itomori got hit by a comet. And the comet broke apart, fell down, and destroyed
the entire town. 500 dead. And no one lives in the town anymore. It's all and this is where it takes the tone shift to a very
dark place. Because then he's paging through, learning about it. He's going through the Book of the Deceased, and he finds Teshi and his girlfriend.
Teshi and...
Did I write it down? No, whatever. Girlfriend. Their names, and then he finds Mitsuha's name. So
and the whole scene is like a punch in the face.
Rubbing my leg.
Freaking chill.
Just rub.
Chill.
It's very distracting.
Now we're at the calm, sober part, depressing part of the review. Just take a moment.
And
I get very emotional.
It's very rough. About this movie. Is. This is one of the most emotional movies I've watched. Really, and that suspense is just eating at you because now she's dead.
And now you start to question yourself what's happening. Is it a dream? Is Taki connected to this person?
Was this supposed to be like a life lesson for him, and that's it? He was supposed to just learn to...
He starts questioning himself and everything that's going on.
And he goes to check his messages, and they all vanish. Now his phone's gone. There's no evidence that it ever happened. And now he can't remember her name.
It's complete helplessness with...
He's just falling into a state of depression as this whole experience escapes from him.
And then it cuts...
It's rough.
And then you got the scene between Okudera and Tsukasa, his friend, and they're...
worried about him.
They're worried about what's going on, because this clearly isn't normal for anyone.
Yeah. He remembers a girl who died 3 years ago, who he appears to have been having a relationship with, for the last month.
It's...
Is he getting catfished? What is this?
It's... Their question... They don't know that they believe him, but they're friends with him, so they want to believe him.
And it's clearly been good for him. He's
improved as a person.
Yeah. So it was, I think they say, it was good for him, and something like that.
And then the next scene is where the ribbon is directly addressed.
Yeah, he remembers that this ribbon, it came from something. It's special. It's different.
Someone who makes him had the story, and then he's remembering bits and pieces.
And it can connect through time, and then he thinks of the...
it takes him... everyone goes to bed, and in the middle of the night, he's like, wait, there's somewhere I can go to check. I can go see if this all actually happened.
Yep. And then he goes up the mountain, and...
through the rain. Great animation.
And setting the tone once again, that sadness, the morose.
But still determined. You have to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And he goes and he finds the shrine, and it is there. And he goes down and he finds the Kuchikami sake that he himself put there. It's there. It's still there. And like a complete pervert, he drinks it.
Well, before that, imagine what would happen. I wonder what would happen if he got it wrong and drank the wrong one.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Because that's not still the half you have to leave behind. He just shows up in the little sister's body.
Sequel potential.
Whole new experience.
Sequel potential. Just saying. There's an entire jar of Kuchikami sake there that hasn't been drank yet.
Just think of... Now I'm picturing that. He goes back in time and he wakes up as Mitsuha's little sister. And now he has to save...
A Back to the Future 2 style where it's him in her body and him in the sister's body at the same time. Trying not to do... Anyway, okay. Weirdness aside...
But so he drinks the
Kuchi
Kamasaki. But that's not the real point. The real point...
Well, he drinks it thinking something will happen. Nothing happens, so he stands up to leave. And
then he slips. And this is the part where he sees on the roof...
Some of the best art in the movie.
That this is already drawn on the ceiling. The comet coming down and crashing. This
has happened before.
And suddenly he realizes there's this whole history with the family, and that's...
Well, it goes through... It goes through Mitsuha's entire life before his eyes. From conception, literally.
He falls down, hits his head, and goes unconscious, and leaves half of him behind.
Well, we're not there yet. He doesn't hit the ground and go unconscious. He trips and then he falls into the dream sequence.
I thought he hit his head.
No, it's never shown because he falls back and then he goes.
I think he hit his head.
Okay, because I thought it was...
Because that's when it goes black, I think. And then he's...
Because it...
Spoosh, and he's in the
cuts
dream
to
sequence.
the comet coming off the wall and crashing into Japan. And this is where
what beautiful art in this part. Very abstract.
Great, simple exposition, too, because you get Mitsuha's whole life story where you meet her mother, who is dead at this point, and you figure out her strained relationship with her father.
Yep, explains how he left and how he really only was there for his wife and didn't care about the...
He cared about both of them until the wife died, and then he left.
I think I like to think that he just couldn't bear the reminder of his lost wife.
I mean...
And so he buried himself in work and politics and such.
But he abandoned his kids.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. And then
he's seeing...
You get to see that she went on that to go...
She went to Tokyo. But it's not addressed why, but he's getting...
pretty clear.
No, it just says she's going to Tokyo. It's not until later that she figured out why she went to Tokyo. He finds it out when he's biking up the hill later.
Oh.
You're just getting flashes, and he's trapped in time trying to cry out to her to run away so she doesn't die.
And then he wakes up as
her
the day before the meteor falls.
And this would be a scene I have a slight problem with, because, I mean, it's such a heavy scene, and it goes back to him crying.
Oh, but they do it so well. Because it's like this emotional, funny... He wakes up, and he grabs the boobs, and the girl walks in, his little sister, and, "Are you touching your boobies again?" And he's sitting there just, snot running down his face, bawling. And then wants to hug her, and she's just, runs away.
It was a weird tone shift for me.
Oh, I thought it was perfect. I love that scene. Honestly, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. It's such a beautiful, there's so much hope packed into that scene. This has changed everything. I'm back. I can change this. I can save her. I can save everyone. It's making me emotional.
It's hard to just sit and think about this movie.
It's rough.
And then this is where they get down to business, because it goes in and finds out that this event is not new.
The tone change again.
Well, the scene with the grandma.
Yeah, that scene's a little... I think that's kind of a weird tone part. Because, why doesn't grandma believe him? She already, acknowledges that this is a thing. I didn't...
Well, she doesn't say that she doesn't believe him. She says that no one else is going to.
But if she believes him, she should have done something. minor
This is where Grandma kind of gets left in the dust for the rest of the story.
I think it's just kind of a, because plot.
Yep, and then so
he goes and tries to save the town. He sets
convincing the friends, which, by the way, that's some pretty damn loyal friends, because I'm pretty sure
if I showed up and told you we need to go commit grand felonies to save the town,
I'm not that attached to this town.
let's just get our families and leave. God, I'm that kind of person too. We're horrible people. Good thing you don't need to rely on us to save your life.
It's not that I wouldn't believe what you were saying. I wouldn't necessarily say, let's not save everyone. I'd be like, yeah, sure, that's going to happen. Yeah. I'm too much of a reality cynic. Like, no, that's not going to happen in reality. But
honestly, I don't care too much about this part. Like, it's like so not important to the grand theme. Like, it needs to be there. But it's largely just like a little bit of happy, like this hope is coming, we have a chance. She goes and she gets it all set up. He goes to her dad.
Yep,
and can't convince him.
Immediate tone shift again, because the father doesn't believe Taki in Mitsuha's body, and he finally realizes that it's not her when she comes up violent.
When he goes to hit when he goes to hit her dad, he realizes, Mitsuha, is that you?
You're not Mitsuha.
Yeah.
And
who are you?
So it's a lost cause, and she flees but she doesn't give up hope yet.
It's at this point, I think that he realizes, I need to go talk to Mitsuha. I don't know why. She's sitting there.
She's trying to convince people to go out of town. This is where she finds out that Mitsuha went to Tokyo the day before.
Oh, yeah.
And she's thinking...
the sister tells him.
Yep. You cut your hair, you went to Tokyo, what's going on with you? And she's like, I wonder if Mitsuha's in my body up on the mountain over there. And he's like, I have to go find out.
So she grabs the bike and heads up the hill.
And then it cuts to Mitsuha waking up in Taki's body, going out
shrine.
And finding out she's dead.
Yeah, she goes out of the mountain, looks down, and there's her town, just a crater in the ground.
And she remembers her last moment too, because it flashes back.
The sight of the meteor coming down, and just stopping moments before it destroys everything.
Did I die? And then she collapses, and then back to Taki, realizing that Mitsuha went to Tokyo to see him that day. And so then it cuts to her
the scene in Tokyo where she runs into him.
Everywhere. She's looking everywhere for him, has given up hope, and is returning to town. Essentially what he had done searching for her already.
Yeah.
And then she runs into him on the train. And
he doesn't recognize her. Like, she tries to talk to him, and no idea who she is, because it's 3 years before he meets her.
Yep, and it's... The recurring line of dialogue whenever they're waking up, Taki, don't you remember me? And that line comes out and you finally understand where it's from.
And then they say the line from the movie, which I think is a really good way to wrap
What's
that in.
your name? And then the ribbon toss.
She throws the ribbon to him.
And you realize that the ribbon he's been holding for good luck is actually hers. She gave it to him 3 years ago.
And that's why she had her hair cut, is because she took the ribbon out and she got it cut after that.
Yep, she could, yeah. And so...
She didn't have to tie it up, I guess. Something.
And then it was too long, and she didn't like it not being able to tie it up.
Yeah.
But then they're running up the mountain to meet. And they can't meet.
Because it's not magic hour yet.
It's because they're 3 years apart and she's dead. That's why they can't meet yet.
Well, yes. But the magic hour happens.
And they're running around, and then when they pass each other, there's the instantaneous flash. You see the rope tying them together.
Yep, that whole rope symbolism again.
The smaller chime, the smaller chime rings, the chime that signals whenever they're close to each other, and then the hand grab, and then the turn and magic hour, which is
much better way.
Way better in the dub than in the sub, because it's just, it's Twilight, and you're like, okay, cool. why is this happening? And then...
this is a great romance scene, a little bit of
it's perfect.
Playful teenagers who are really meeting for the first time but have a strong, healthy relationship from...
And they know each other so well.
But this is the first time actually meeting and talking to each other.
But they're already attached because he immediately goes in for the physical contact and the closeness.
She yells at him for touching her boobs.
And drinking... and
drinking
the sake.
Or spit sake. How gross that is. Spit Sake the movie. How to make ropes. If this was on his trailers. Sorry. Completely derailed the emotional part.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get back because now we have to talk about the pen.
The most emotional scene in any movie I've ever seen. The magic hour's almost over. He tells her, you gotta go save yourself.
There's still time to save the town. Here's what you need to do. But just to make sure we don't wake up and forget the dream, let's write each other's names. And so he goes to write on her hand.
Then she goes to write on his.
And the pen falls to the ground.
But not just the pen just falls to the ground. She starts to write, gets a small line, and then just cuts.
Music cut.
Silence.
Completely abrupt. No warning or anything. Just, it's over.
And the pen just falls from her now gone hands to the ground and clatters there on the ground. And just him sitting there looking at a small line on his hand.
Just make sure
the pen on the ground. That clatter on the ground. And the crater behind him. That was it. That was the end. That was my last shot. It's so final and emotional. And you don't know. Did it work?
And then he starts to lose his memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then
what's her name? He can't remember it.
And this is the half they leave behind, is their memories of each other.
Oh,
it's the cost. It's
the
cost for going back to the real world, is they have to lose each other.
Okay.
Fortunately, though,
she saves it.
So, fortunately, though, it's all okay because Taki's name is written on Mitsuha's hand, right? So they're running.
She runs and she's gonna go talk to Dad.
Well, they blow up the mine. They blow up the power plant, and then they run and they're superimposition frequency telling everyone there's a forest fire, trying to get everyone to leave town. So they run to the festival to try and.
But no one's really leaving. Apparently, no one fears fires unless there's firefighters.
Well, it's actually not really made clear because it looks like people are starting to leave and get ready to go, but they're not in a huge hurry, and people aren't leaving as quickly as
they need to.
So this is the point where Teshi gets fed up with it and says, "You need to go convince your old man
to really get the evacuation going."
And now she realizes she can't remember his name. She can't remember.
As she's running to meet her dad, she's. I know it's when she was talking with Teshi, because that's she's like, I can't remember his name, and Teshi's like, get a hold of yourself. We just blew up a thing. Is this real? Are you just? What is going on?
Well, and he believes her because he researched the fact that the meteor struck there
before. Like that is a crater already on the mountaintop.
And and Taki makes the connection. This is all happening so I can prevent this. And so now we got the scene, and this is where the semi-rock music is playing again with the singing in the background, and it's one of my favorite songs in the movie.
When she's running, or
during it's an 8-minute long song. It starts at the mountain, and it keeps
when
going.
They're getting progress and they're gonna save the town.
And then
because it's real sad. I can't remember the music specifically when she's running to try and tell her dad.
Well, it goes silent.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because
just her panting.
It fades down. It's running. Who are you? She's trying to figure out who he is.
What's his name?
What his name is, and then she trips.
And she looks at her hand to see.
She trips. She rolls down the. It looks like she's severely injured.
It looks like she's knocked unconscious.
Yeah, her head smacks the ground really hard, and that's when even background noise fades out. It's complete silence. Excellent use of silence.
Really excellent use of silence.
And so, she's laying there unconscious, and you see the hand, and you're like, okay, cool.
When I first watched it, I thought for sure it was going to be smeared beyond recognition from all the sweating and running, and that would be the sad moment.
But no, it's I love you, not Taki's name, and you're like, of course.
dumbass teenagers. Yup.
Well, and the thing is, you have to wonder, is that what he wrote, or did it get changed because of their memories?
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
And
I didn't think of that.
she stands up and she's in tears. You idiot, I can't remember you with this. But she knows if she has any chance, she has to run and convince her dad. And then
she gets to her dad, all panting and breathing heavy. And then it just cuts, I believe.
Cuts to the meteor.
Yeah, cuts to the meteor.
And it's the opening scene again, with the meteor coming down, and you're realizing, we're thinking she can stop what's happening, but she can't stop what's happening. We have no idea if she's able to save the town at this point.
And we still don't know. And this is where they just meld that. It's still beautiful. It's that same beautiful scene, but now it's horror. It's terror. This is the meteor that's going to end, 5,000 lives. 500 lives. And you just watch it come through
very slowly, and you're like, it's
and
not.
Once again, silence.
No, this time, not until it hits. There's music playing
there's
up
music
until
playing
it hits.
Okay.
And then it hits, and there's silence. For a few seconds, you see the shockwave, and then the explosion.
And it just blows chunks everywhere. It's so artfully done. Oh, so beautiful.
The entire town ripped apart.
Just destroyed.
The familiar bridge that they crossed is gone. The shrine's gone. It's all gone. And
then it jumps back to him, waking up on the mountain.
And what am I doing here? What's going on?
I like my note. Music cuts, pen drops, and the tears start. It is so hard. I cannot not cry when that pen drops. It is so emotional. Oh.
And it's hard because you're sitting in a movie next to someone who hasn't seen it already, and you're not trying to give away the fact that you're crying, sir. Holding it in.
Oh, and man, so from the pen drop to this end, it's so suspenseful. It's so heartbreaking. And then you don't know, did she survive? The meteor hits. The meteor still hits. It's still a crater. And now he wakes up. He can't remember. Is he going to remember? Is she alive?
Something that I wanted to cover during the sequence where they're trying to convince the town is the contrast and the panic between these three people who are trying to save the town and the townsfolk who are just mesmerized by the meteor coming to fall. Because you've got Teshi grabbing his father by the collar, shaking and screaming at him while the father's just staring at the meteor, and you're realizing the absolute sense of helplessness that these three kids have to save everyone.
This is the end of the world if you don't
we need to move.
We're all gonna die. But then it goes through this kind of exposition explaining how Taki can't remember any of it. He had a weird spat in his life.
It jumps to 5 years in the future. So it was 2013 when the meteor fell, 2016 when Taki was remembering Mitsuha, and then cuts 5 years later to them as adult, or Taki as an adult, out of college hunting for a job, and feeling like something is missing from his life because
he wants to create beauty. It's an artist in him.
He sees somebody wearing a ribbon in their hair in the train station. He goes after her, and he's not really sure why. And he gives up after.
It is her.
We don't know that. No, the first one. You think?
I think so. I think every single one of them was her.
Okay, but it's not made explicitly clear that he's chasing after her. He sees someone with a ribbon in his hair. He knows this means something, so he goes out.
He doesn't know why or anything.
Yep, and the chime rings.
And basically now it's like we're back to where we started at the beginning of the movie.
The characters are in limbo,
missing.
But you know everything that's missing, and you're hoping it's going to connect.
I know, my God, such a suspenseful, these two have been living for, 5 years?
Separately.
Well, 8 for her.
8 for her, 5 for him, without knowing anything that's going on.
Yeah, but that there's something missing. I just can't imagine that to be, desperately in love with something and it's just missing and you
don't even know what it is.
Yeah, something's wrong. Something's not there. You wake up crying all the time and don't know why. And, that'd be so hard.
And it's going through Taki's life. It's showing that he has not been able to move on.
Mm-hmm. And he runs into
Okudera.
No, I was going to say Teshi and...
But first he runs into Okudera.
I thought it was the other way around.
Nope.
But he runs into Okudera.
He meets with his friends at the cafe, and they're saying, "Oh, we've got all these jobs," and he's like, "Well, I can't figure out what I'm doing."
You're right. And then Okudera calls and he goes and has like a little.
And this is where you figure out, because they talk about, "Oh yeah, remember when we took the trip up to the mountain? Yeah, it was just after the comet disaster happened, and it was such a weird disaster. Nobody died." And you're like, "Oh, thank God.
They all survived. They just happened to. Oh. So there is hope."
Everyone lived. Everything they did worked, and you're happy, but they haven't met yet.
It's 5 years later, and they still haven't met.
And then Okudera waves goodbye, and you see the wedding ring on.
Well, and not just wave goodbye. It's like, I hope.
You find your happiness.
Like making it clear, like she's married, and she hopes he can get too.
And she's married to Teshi. It's not really made clear that.
To Teshi?
Yeah, no, not Tsukasa.
Oh, okay, that's
the friend
what I thought.
that they went on the train trip with.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not made explicitly clear, but I think it's implying that they bonded on that trip, and eventually.
That would make sense to me. I was hoping they would. They seemed to really hit it off.
And so then he goes and he's sitting in the cafe by himself.
And then Teshi and whatever her face are in there discussing getting married. And this is one where the sub made it less clear that they were talking about their marriage.
Yes, the sub made me think that he was planning on marrying Mitsuha. And I don't. That might just be my weird perception of how I did it, but I was not clear that it was those two getting married.
I felt the dub made that very clear. Although I hate... So, quick complaint. The fact that Teshi and Taki are such similar names really threw me off. I thought she was getting married to Taki at first. I kept getting confused on those two names the first time.
And then it cuts to outside where he's walking and he sees the ribbon in a person's hair as she walks past. And he stops to turn and look. And
then just continues on like, I'm being crazy. And
then she stops. And it doesn't show her face yet. It has not shown her face at all since the meteor struck. And then it goes to silence and it starts playing music that sounds kind of like end credit music. You're thinking, oh God, are they going to end it like this?
They never meet.
Because it fades to black and then music starts and you're like, oh God, is this the end credits? But then it comes back with them talking.
Subway, right? Are they talking?
It comes back with the opening scene. I always felt like it's them waking up one morning, getting ready to go to work, and not understanding. And then
they have the scene where they
Mitsuha's on the train, looking down, and she looks up. Is it Taki who sees her first, or is it?
I don't know, but they both bulk up, and it's them.
They see each other, and
they both immediately recognize that that's something important to me.
And then the train split off, and they don't see each other, and they're thinking, "Oh God, I have to find this person." So they go and they run all over town.
And then it comes to the scene. There's Taki at the bottom of these stairs, and there's Mitsuha at the top, and they see each other, and they both just play it cool. Taki.
They play it like, oh God, I must be crazy for thinking this is something that's actually happening. This isn't real. This is ludicrous. I must be making all this up.
This can't be real. I can't just go and just talk to this random girl.
And so they walk past each other, going up and down the stairs.
And then once again, oh my God, is it really not going to have him?
And then he stands at the top of the stairs for a couple seconds, and you're thinking, crap. And then you see him visibly brace himself, and you're like, oh, thank God. And he turns around, and, do I know you? And they connect.
And then they're both crying, and...
They're both crying. They
don't know why. Just how weird would that have to be?
And then, final line, can I ask you your name?
And then it goes to credits.
Then it goes to the title and pans up.
Yeah, to credits. But that's the last sentence, or the last sentence in the movie. And so emotional and so good. Happy ending.
If it had ended any other way, I don't think I'd have liked it.
Yeah. Man, it kept you on the edge of your seat the whole way through. Jesus.
Right up until the last second.
The one complaint I thought you were gonna make was that we don't learn about how that relationship works.
Oh no.
And they do add some of that in some
I don't know
manga.
I don't know if
it's
that was
official,
yeah,
fanfic, but it's good. But it'd be
and
nice
honestly,
to know.
what happens afterward doesn't bug me so much because it's left open and I can interpret however I want. I'll interpret the happiest ending of all time, but at least it's not made.
It's not sad.
Yes, it's not sad in any way, shape, or form. Because, I mean, they don't outright say they remember each other, but you know they're going to. Like, there's no other way.
So, that's that's the whole movie. One of the things I wanted to talk about was like the visuals, audios, and then our rating and should you see it. So, visuals. This movie is beautiful from start to finish. All of the visuals are like in line, in theme, and just masterfully done.
More detailed and better looking than Disney movies.
There's some of those sections where like they take and they compare the scenes that they based the art on, and then the actual art they did.
Location.
And it's incredible. The art is so good, so photorealistic.
That's this particular director's style. As he looks, all of his other movies are just as vivid and well drawn, and so colorful too. I love the colors.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so beautiful. From start to finish, the visuals are so good. The meteor especially, so artful and... Oh.
Well, because the purple magic hour twilight light is my favorite color, and it's so played up in this, and it's great.
So...
And then...
Music.
Music was excellent, top-notch.
The only part was that the anime intro was
and that
a little jarring. It wasn't bad, it was just jarring. And it had a place in the movie, and they use it in that place masterfully. And other than that, I don't think I have a single complaint about the music from start to finish. Every time the music comes on, it's perfect for the scene. Like when they're in the working at the restaurant, it's that right tone. Trying to find go up the mountain, it's the right somber.
It's never overplayed. They never go too far.
It's always
always bring
perfect
enough
for the emotion and the context of the scene.
And yeah, I think the director met with the band leader personally and changed scenes of the movies so it would better fit with the music. I've read that somewhere. No official sources here, but
yeah, this is Moan facts. So I'm gonna give it. Do you have more on the audio, or I'm gonna give it a rating?
Oh, go ahead and give the audio rating.
No.
Oh, the
final rating.
Oh, final rating. Oh,
it's a solid 10 out of 10 for. Sorry.
I do. Well, we can talk about this after the rating, I suppose.
Well, no, let's do it right.
Okay, I've got
you didn't hear that.
things. More things I noticed as I watched it more. There is not a single wasted moment in the entire movie. Like, you've got filler scene. Lots of movies have filler scenes and TV shows. There's not a wasted moment in the entire movie for establishing. You're establishing something with every second.
Well, not Interstellar, but the one that was similar with the space aliens.
Martian? No. Arrival?
Arrival was so full of overly dramatic symbolism. Every iota of symbolism and dramaticism in this was a part of the plot. Universe building.
Establishing
everything.
Shots.
Like, so, the whole part how we were talking about how it's all rope, it all intertwines and wraps. That summarizes the movie so well. It's artfully meshed. Like, this would be the Dark Souls map design of movies.
Dark Souls 1, mind you.
Yeah, Dark Souls 1. Not those other peasants.
Let's not even get into 2. But, crap.
But there's nothing that I felt was wasted or unneeded. Even the silly things, everything was so artfully woven together. I don't even know how you write a story this interwoven. It's impressive.
It's all in where you start, I would say.
How? The whole thing is a freaking convoluted mess.
Well,
it literally starts 5 years in the future relative to the one start, which is 3 years ahead of the other start.
Well, if it was me writing, I would come up with the story, and then I would figure out how to arrange it to tell it.
It'd be a nightmare to try
it would be a nightmare. But that would be the easiest way to do it.
Like, the way I would describe this would be like a rope. Like, all wrapped together and interwoven and mixed together, because it's a mess, and it's artfully done. Can I give it a rating now? Or do you have
let's see. The use of silence, which I suppose we
definitely addressed that. But just to emphasize, this movie's use of silence is impeccable. Some of the most emotional scenes in it are just silence, and then it hits you.
And I'm not talking, because there are scenes where it's no music and background noise, but there are scenes where it's literally no sound.
like the magic hour when the pen drops. It's just silence. The pen just falls, and the only noise is the pen hitting the ground.
Yep, no wind, no nothing.
And when the meteor hits, it hits. There's just silence. And then the just explosion of everything. And she hits the ground. It's silence. And then the I love you. And it just, every single one, just emotional blows right in the heart.
And then this one's more me talking, but
I like
the
you
goddess,
talking.
The goddess Tiamat, the meteor is the goddess of the shrine. And it's a benevolent god because...
a destructive god.
Well, the god cares what happens to the people.
Benevolent but destructive.
Destructive, yes, but the god prevents them with all the opportunities to save themselves.
One opportunity.
That's all they needed. And actually, we don't know that. Could have been other.
True.
And it could have taken the memories away and kept them, but gave them back.
He was just the only one that succeeded. All the other plebs died.
Except not really, because nobody died.
Shh. Only takes one to win.
But in the end, the goddess gives everything back because it's a nice goddess.
I just the fact that Tiamat and what that is like such a artfully woven into the story in every way.
It fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Shows you the level of depth that the guy went through writing this thing.
Blows me away, the level of depth in this movie. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, so
go ahead and give it a rating.
I want to give this the highest 10 out of 10 I can ever give a film. Like, I think about any other movie I've seen where I take it and I think about it, and there is nothing I would change about this. And there's only one minor complaint I have in the whole movie. Like, everything else from start to finish is just flawlessly executed. From the art, to the visuals, to the plot, to the storytelling, to the interwoven pacing is incredible. Like, it's the best paced movie I've ever seen. Like, not just the pacing is phenomenal, it is the best. The pacing is just perfect. Except for that one music. But one exception.
And then I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 8. Saw it 8 times, cried 8 times. No other movie.
No joke, he legitimately did cry. Actually, that's
no
not
other
fair.
movie has done that.
That's not fair. You easily cried more than 8 times. You cried multiple times per.
If you count starting and stopping, but I'm.
and 8 out of 8.
If we're gonna count all
saw
that,
it 8 times,
we're gonna have
made me
to
cry. All 8 times.
Well, if we're gonna count it like that, we also have to count how many times I broke into tears thinking about it at work.
Like right now, it's on the edge right now. I can see it, folks.
Okay.
If you're watching from the future, this is the start of the end.
Something like that. Speaking of starting of the end, we've been going on for a while now, haven't we?
Yeah, it's not Beauty and the Beast long, which is surprising, but it's good. And so the last thing, should you see it? I'm with my compatriot here. Honestly, if you see one movie ever, like especially if you ever are gonna see an anime movie, make it this one. It's if you think you don't like anime, watch this. You might have your mind changed because this is the best executed anime movie ever, and I would say the best executed movie ever. Honestly, I can't think of a better movie to see. It's not my favorite because of my personal tastes, but it is the best executed movie ever, in my experience. Which is a bold statement.
Yeah, go see it. You better.
Definitely go see it.
I spent way more money on tickets to this movie than I should have.
He basically accounted for half of America's sales on it.
Something like that. We were getting up there too. It was 5.5 million as of May 4th.
It's huge. We should double check on that after this. But
yeah.
I think that's it. Do you have any words of wisdoms for the viewers?
No.